in metal drum, Riragan Chien in the body, Sangde Shindu Mite Uvari, Drogun Nanda Shinla Chiparsho, Idam Guru Ratnamandala Kamniratayami, Chidam Zohi Choknamba, Janchu Vardu Dakni Yasushi, Daki Chinyen Ipe Sananki, Drula Benchir Sangye Drupasho, Chidam Zohi Choknamba, Janchu Vardu Dakni Yasushi, Daki Chinyen Ipe Sananki, Drala Benchir Sangye Drupasho, Chiran Zogi Choknamba, Janchu Vardu Dakni Yasuchi, Daki Chinyen Ipe Sananki, Drola Benchir Sangye Drupasho. Thank you. So, we've been reviewing a 6-year curriculum that is taught in Tibet that began in ancient India at the time of the Buddha. All these discourses were given, and over millennia it was collected into the discourses of the Buddha. And in Tibet, for 1,000 years, they were kept as close to the original as possible. And it was transcribed meticulously. They created the Tibetan language to mirror the Sanskrit that the original sutras were written in, or one version of them. The other one was Pali. And the magic about this series of ideas, the lectures from the Buddhas, and the realities they refer to, is that whilst the rest of the world developed and grew and got new metaphors and new life, nobody went to Tibet up there for 1,000 years locked in the frozen nothingness. And there's nothing to do when it's really cold except be inside. So you're inside with your mind. And these people who were savages, really, they were yak herders, you know, became scholars of the most profound knowledge. And so it is the closest we have in written and oral tradition to the time of the Buddha. And in fact, they kept meticulous record of teacher-to-student relationship all the way back to them. And we can trace it to this room, to today. I can trace it to my teacher and their teacher's teacher, and so on, both orally and written. So what does that mean to New York in 2018? It means that we have exactly the same human problems that we had 2,600 years ago. Namely, that we are born with that condition called we think we're normal, and then we break down and gets disrupted, we get ill, we have problems, and we're shocked and surprised after millennia on the planet. You know, we're completely shocked. My youth is gone. What? The career I built, or the thing I spent all of my life doing, is disappearing before my eyes. What? How come I didn't notice that when it happens to me? Yeah. So my job is, after receiving this information, which was transmitted into English for the very first time in the 90s, the complete 20-year degree that you would get in the Tibetan monastery, the Geshe degree. The same stuff that His Holiness the Dalai Lama and all these pandits, all these modern pandits have learned and debated and studied and so on. The same stuff translated into English for the very first time in the 90s, and I was fortunate enough to bump into it by mistake at this place called the Three Jewels in 1994, 95, 96, 97, 98.
95. So you jumped from 95 to 98.
Oh, I did. It was not what I came to New York to do. I'm Australian. I was born in Argentina. I was born there when I was very young. I rarely get to use it now. Whenever I get a chance. Sorry, Stephen. He hates it. Well, he lives with me, so he has to hear this like that one joke all the time. Yeah, I was born when I was very young. Yeah, that's my favorite. Sorry, it's just the epitome of dad jokes. So I didn't expect to bump into something so life-changing when I came to New York to look for my fame, to look for that. We come to New York for the stuff that is going to make us happy. And I found it, but it wasn't what I thought I was looking for. I actually found the courses for happiness completely unexpected, and it came with a punch. It came with, look, suffering can come early for you. How terrible do you feel? Now look for some meaning in your life. And then pop comes a Tibetan teacher translating these ideas from the very first time from Tibetan into English, the entire course. And I'm taking refuge in this stuff while still hurting. Didn't know what it was really doing to me. I just bumped into it by mistake. So I hope you bump into it by mistake with these core ideas. So we get, in this course, we get to review what we've already taught for 5 years. And we're in the second part of the review, and we're reviewing the idea of wisdom in a bunch of texts, Prajnaparamita, Bodhisattva vows. What does it mean to take on a promise to help everyone? And why is that a big deal? How does that help me in 2018? We talked about the concept of death and the realms, and is there such a thing that's coming to get you? And the answer is yes, but not like you think. Yeah? Is it something you can, and this idea, this Eastern way of looking at death and what it is to be a human is completely inside out to our Western way of thinking. And because that way of thinking is inside out, you can see how it's possible for you to transform that experience into something other than death and suffering. But it's just knowing it ain't gonna do it. Okay, so just coming to a class and going, oh, I learned the text, I'm free, which is a nice Western mistake, isn't gonna happen for you. In fact, it might piss you off more because you know that it's possible, that if you're not doing it, it ain't happening. Yeah. Then we talked about ethical code, which was the last 2 classes. We talked about Vinaya, and I didn't get to finish. Towards the end of the Vinaya class, we talked about the most important thing that could really help you transform your way of thinking, which is connecting to a teacher. Yeah, connecting to a teacher. So traditionally, at the beginning of these classes, I let you guys review the last class together, so you get an opportunity to put it into your context and ask questions and so on. So it's not just me lecturing. But tonight, I have to give you the list of the qualities of finding a teacher and why is that a big deal. And then we're going to actually begin the investigating the idea of real compassion, true love, the deepest kind of love you could ever experience. And it isn't what you think. Oh, it wasn't what I thought. Maybe it's what you think. If you're weird. So there are 3 great vehicles, or actually 1 great vehicle. There's 3 vehicles to which you can get from 2018 normal human life, where things look magical for most of us and then they change. Yeah. And then you're just dumped in with the rest of humanity by going, oh, that caught me by surprise. It shouldn't catch you by surprise. Everyone before you died, okay? Everyone before you had babies, bought houses, had relationships, bought clothes. Yeah, they're not here anymore. Those things are. But the houses, so I have a friend who was really annoyed that he's paying a mortgage because he bought an old house from the 1800s. He's like, I love this house when I saw it, and now I'm realizing I'm like the fifth person that's paying the entire amount of what this house is worth. And the house is still here, and there's 3 people before me paying their whole lives the mortgage, and then they died, and now I'm doing it. Where is all that money going? It's like, shouldn't it be done? Anyway, so we do that with our given lives. And in these texts, if you can pay attention, and my job is to try and make it as real and relevant as possible, but not skipping the accuracy that we will dig into in depth if we took these courses for real. This is just a review. And we're all together, that's what we're doing. Okay. Central to a tenet of all these practices, a shortcut, if you will, to a practice of getting enlightened. And getting enlightened can come in 3 modes. Yeah, you get enlightened, meaning you reach nirvana. Yeah, which means you permanently stop your experience of anything that is distasteful. It's called a permanent cessation of all mental afflictions. It just means that it doesn't matter what you're experiencing, your mind cannot experience anything, not even your own thought, as negative. Yeah, and so you're in nirvana. It's not that you go away. Nirvana is in this room for those minds that have that thing. Yeah, and I would be sitting next to somebody completely blissed out, unable to return to the cycles of her, and I'm still having my own experience. What happened there? The Lama disappeared. Are we up there or not really?
No.
Okay, so that's the story. End of class. No. It's still on. It's just
the projector's working.
Yeah. Okay, let's try take 2. So
Here we go.
Yeah.
oh,
It's shorted out.
you did? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
I'm shorted.
Oh, I have to do the
Have to reconnect it.
reconnect it. Okay, thank you. Mansana TV. Okay, we're up there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. So people can be in nirvana in exactly the same space as you are. In fact, the person right next to you, if they had reached that space, could be in a state of complete mental perfection, because peace doesn't come from the objects out there. Yeah, it doesn't come from stuff. There's something in us projecting on reality, and that's a study of wisdom, which we've covered. I'll touch on again. So you could be in a state of nirvana, one of the vehicles. Yeah. Sort yourself out, figure out how your world changes, change your mind, which changes your world, and you're at peace. Sorry, Peter, you can be suffering, I don't care. Sorry, Supriya, you can be suffering. Om Nirvana, okay? It's traditionally linked to Hinayana practice. Then you have Mahayana practice, which is exactly the same thing, right? I see that life ain't, I'm gonna have to pay that mortgage with all the other dead people that already paid the mortgage. There's a suffering in this life. This body's rotting, even while I'm enjoying it. And does it have to be that way? Yeah. So then you can get to understand how if it's your mind that's projecting the experience. If you change your mind, you can change your world. You can be in nirvana. We just said it. But the second vehicle, the Mahayana vehicle, says, if I'm experiencing that, then maybe so is Peter, and so is Supriya, and so is Mama. So are other minds. It doesn't, I'm going to try and get out of the cycle if it's changeable, get out of samsara, reach a state of enlightenment, but why not do it for the sake of you and you and you and you and you as well? And that makes it a lot bigger. That I'm doing the same activity, meditating and all the practices to wake up, but the scope of your actions has just increased as big as the number of beings you can imagine, which is a lot if you're imagining all of them. Yeah. And that's the topic of tonight's class after I review last week's class. So that's that's an enlightenment that will deliver not just nirvana, but Buddhahood, where your mind is at peace, but also has the scope of having bliss and perception of all things, omniscience. So that's technically the idea. Or third vehicle, Vajrayana, the diamond vehicle, does exactly the same thing, but I can't wait, it needs to happen now. So that's called tantric practice, it's secret, it's based on a firm understanding of the previous two, and that you go through extreme personal measures to try and reach that enlightenment. So those are three vehicles to reach a state of enlightenment. We got that so far? A shortcut to those is relying on a teacher, relying on a spiritual teacher, guru devotion. It's hard for me to talk about because in the West that sounds weird and that sounds culty and so on. So I'm going to say, remove the weirdness for yourself for a second and just try to look at it logically, okay? And then it's up to you to go and see whether or not that works for you. But you could, and we love, right? In the West, we love figuring it all out ourselves. We're number one, we're special, we can do it. I'm an individual, yeah? I'm an individual. Except we want other people to tell us what to do because we move in masses, right? I'm an individual, but please help me. But I've got it. I'm doing it on myself, yeah? But meanwhile, I'm liking everyone on Instagram. Is anybody in my community? Is anybody my friend? Am I following enough people? But I'm an individual. I can figure it out myself. What are they doing? Right? So we have this weird thing in the West where we're seeking constantly external approval, but outwardly we're like, we got this. We're strong. We're number one, right? And that's just trouble. That really is just trouble. That's hiding a whole bunch of reality for yourself. The Tibetans and in Eastern culture, it's not that. You respect the people that can give you knowledge way more than we do now in the West. And so the teacher, the idea of a teacher, any teacher, from your mother to your brother to your friend to your school teacher, any teacher or mentor is completely revered because they are your shortcut to knowledge. They are your shortcut to wisdom. If you are a good student and they are a good teacher, together you could save yourself decades, if not eons, to reach a conclusion, to reach a result. Does that make some logical sense? Yeah? We have a nice aversion to that in the West. We really do, because we have the opposite habit of anything that looks to be holier than thou, we know how to cut it down. In Australia, we call that tall poppy syndrome. All the poppies have to be exactly the same. If there's one poppy that sticks out, cut it. So we're all the same, okay? We're all the same. So if you understand that there's a problem in our lives at the moment, and you've not given up your childhood hope that it's fixable, if you've not been completely destroyed yet by saying, sorry, that's it, just start with normal, enjoy what you've got now until it's all ripped away from you, and then bye-bye, you're dead. That's life, enjoy it. Yeah? If you've not lost hope, and you think there's a tiny chance that there's a different way of experiencing reality which might open up enlightenment, might open up a state of being that doesn't have to be this way. If that's a possibility, a question mark in your mind, then you could figure it out yourself. It would take you eons. It would take you the expansion and contraction of universes to figure out what is it exactly that my mind has to do to find out permanent happiness, to find freedom from suffering, to find the real cause of aging and death and sickness. The real cause. Yeah, because we've discussed in this class, there are relative causes and there are real causes, right? I hope I haven't lost anybody yet. If I have, please listen. Yeah. If there's a tiny possibility that there is knowledge out there that you can use to wake up, Buddha, and wake up, yeah, reach a state of awakening from this mistake doesn't have to be this way. If that's a possibility for you, then a shortcut is finding someone who's done it or gotten close to it and can teach you. But that's also dangerous, right? We sense the danger, right? Do I believe my tarot reader because they're cool, they have a nice necklace, or they've got 20,000 followers on Instagram? Or do I follow my tarot reader because there's some awakening happening when I meet with them? Do I listen to advice from my professor because they've built such a big company in whatever they're teaching, and now they know really the ins and outs of that thing that they're teaching me? Or are they just still at university after being there at 20 and then at 40, and then they got their masters and their doctorate, and now they're teaching me what they taught? Do you see what I'm saying? There's something that needs to wake up. So then there's a list for how to check out a spiritual teacher. And the onus is on us, the students, to say, if I'm going to take the shortcut, if I'm going to rely on somebody to be the connection between me and this possible knowledge, I should check them out a lot. Because I can't just trust them because it feels nice or because someone said. Because if you do, by logic, you have to listen to the next idiot that's going to tell you the next thing, because you just listen to them for no reason at all. So you better listen to her for no reason at all. And then if he wants to say something, you better listen to him. Like logic says, if you're going to just follow people because they're cool or whatever, better follow the next cool person. And in fact, that's sort of what we're doing. So if you want the shortcut, you need to check out this relationship between you and the teacher. Yeah. And here are 10 qualities. It comes from Ornaments of the Sutra. First of all, does actually anybody that took the class, does anybody remember some of them? The first 3 should be so easy. Tamed.
Really tamed.
Tamed, really tamed.
Realization.
Really tamed. Super really tamed.
Understand happiness.
The first 3 relate to the 3 extraordinary trainings.
Meditation.
Ethics,
Isn't it like
meditation, wisdom.
I told you. Yeah.
I told you. Okay, cool. So, Sarah, you got it. It's tamed. I told you guys. I'm your teacher. I just told you. So tamed, it refers to the first of the training. Stephen said it in Words of Ethics. It's the stuff we've just finished learning, right? They should appear to you. You should experience them as having tamed their wild tendencies to just go out and party with this life with no concern for others.
So it's like restraint.
It's more than restraint. It's like they've really managed their impulses. They've managed their impulses. Bare minimum, they should be keeping the 10 virtues. You should see them keeping vows. You should see them making efforts and have already achieved some level of reducing their impulses that they came into this world with. Pratimoksha vows, etc., etc. I'm going to go them fast because I don't want the class to be about this. Did you die again?
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, give me the next 2. Tamed is first, the extraordinary training of controlling your impulses.
I don't remember.
Peace.
Vast scriptural knowledge, realization of happiness, deep realization of happiness.
Then peace, then great peace. Are we up there? So I'll go faster.
Did it happen when your computer went to sleep?
Nope. It happened for no reason at all. So I give you the 3, okay? And you can take pictures and we can discuss it. Yeah. Peace is their ability to meditate, their ability to concentrate. They should have a meditation practice. They can not only control their ethics, but they can come to a place of stillness in their mind. High peace is they must have some kind of understanding of wisdom, that deep understanding of wisdom, meaning emptiness. What is emptiness and how does it relate? And can you put it in it? Can you explain it? Can you teach it in a way that you can use it? Yeah, because you can go to a university and get a bunch of theory, but a teacher for you should be able to instruct you, and you should see it in them that they understand it such that their experiences can help you. Make sense? In terms of emptiness. The next 3 qualities.
Oh, they have to have better qualities of institution.
Yeah, if you're going to be a student of somebody, they should have more info than you have. Yeah, like they should exceed what you already know. You already know some stuff. They should have more. Yeah. Next one.
Isn't it like wisdom again?
effort.
Oh, they love teaching? Is that one? They don't get sick of it?
Teach over and over. No, it's one of the later ones.
That's the last one, good. But you should see them making effort, making strides, yeah, to achieve both their own enlightenment and the enlightenment of others. I think you've said it, rich in scripture, which means they should have a vast knowledge of the Tripitaka, of the three baskets. They should know the Buddhist works. They should know, not just intellectually, but if you're seeking a teacher, you should observe that they can move between those three trainings. They know about ethics, they know about meditation, concentration, and they understand this idea of emptiness and karma. And if they can explain it in a way that you put them together to result in enlightenment for you and at least stop suffering. The last three have deep realization of suchness, which was either have seen emptiness directly, had a direct experience of emptiness, or have come close to it. Master and instruction, meaning they can teach to the understanding and capacity of the students. They can change track. Yeah?
Sorry, good question. What's the difference then between high peace and deep realization of suchness?
You can say one is intellectual and the one is experiential. Yeah? This one is experiential.
Okay.
Yeah. The next one is master of instruction, which means they check the capacity of the people they're teaching, and you watch them, you're observing them, right? This is you checking out a teacher. You're watching them going, oh, they just changed track because that person needed it, or they became firm because the niceness didn't work for that one. Or you should be having experiences watching this teacher that you're checking out, because they're going to be your shortcut, to see how many of these, if not all of them, they have. And second last, there should be an image of love, which means
They're teaching because they love you so much and they just want to help you.
instead of
Wanting
to, oh, I'm such a great teacher, etc. Nice to see me. And last one.
Never gets tired.
I don't know why, Mister.
But that's only 9 qualities. You said 10 qualities. So this one.
I know, but did it turn off?
Yeah, do the teaching again.
But I don't know how to. What's happening?
Has a computer that works.
Has a computer that works. Let's see if that's the next one.
Impervious to SAS.
Could be. Let's have a look. And the last one is overcomes all distaste, meaning they are not tired of saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over until everybody gets it. Yeah? Is that still
Yep,
there?
it's
Acting very strange. It's not joyful effort. No, that's a great effort. It really means that they just know that is the way. There is a way to get people out. They understand it. And it doesn't matter how many times you say it, because the understanding doesn't come from the words they're saying. The understanding comes from the karma. So if you don't have the karma to hear it, I'm going to have to say it 22,000 times. But if I say it 22,000 times and one, and that gets you enlightened, I don't mind going that extra mile. Yeah, or the teacher shouldn't mind going the extra mile. So as you begin to unravel and see the possibility that life does not have to be normal, yeah, and it doesn't mean you have to be a weirdo freak either, right? Life does not have to go through its normal process of aging and sickness and death and the rest, and all those things that break down don't have to break down that way either. That if it's true that the world isn't coming this way, but there's something in us that's forcing our experience of the world, and that is our world, and you can change that, then a shortcut to turning that on quickly is finding somebody who's already used that technology and can impart it to you in your mode. A teacher for her ain't teacher for you. Yeah? And if it's true that things don't come this way, right? Is this mango this way or that way? We know, let's see experientially, what do you see here? Mango. Is this object mango? Is that what this object is? Mango.
What we make it.
Huh? For us, it really is mango, right?
Right.
Now, let's investigate. Is mango in there? is there a thing in there that is radiating mango-ness? It sounds stupid, but we think it's like that.
Right.
Yeah? If this did have mango-ness emanating from it, if mango was really here, and all the attributes of mango, which is obviously the yummiest fruit on the universe, there's nothing nicer than that, right? Anybody that wastes a mango is an idiot, yeah, etc., etc. All the things we've hooked onto that archetype mango, yeah, that we think those qualities exist here. That's what we think reality is, and therefore we think mango. And that's our experience. We go grab the mango, yeah, that's what our experience is. But under analysis, this is the study of wisdom, it's impossible that there is mango in there. There's no mango in the mango. Prove it, right? So I may get let's not use a dog, let's use something.
A cat.
Let's get a cat, okay? That was very creative. So if there was mango in here, the kitten that comes in, the cat, must observe this, and in their mind, there must come an image and a flavor for, and a taste for, and an experience of mango, if it was in there. Yeah, and all those qualities that come with mango. And the fact is that is not true. They're having a completely different experience, or worm, or elephant, or dolphin, or bat, or whatever. They are not experiencing this thing like you are. And you are so sure this is mango. So the fact that there ain't no mango radiating out because other beings don't experience that. So if we remove all the humans out of the room and leave all the kittens, what is that object? Is it mango?
No.
Is it mango? Oh, mango. Is that what's in there for kittens? It's not possible, right?
It's a chew toy.
It's a And then we remove all the cats and bring only humans. And so this thing seems to be changing form, and yet it's not changing form. So where does it all come from? Where do these qualities come from? It comes from the minds observing it. Something is projecting an experience that is so real, I can eat it and digest it and experience it as the most beautiful, healthy fruit on the planet. And anybody that doesn't experience that is an idiot, right? It's stupid, and they should be bashed up. And then we begin wars because people don't like mangoes, which are obviously fantastic from their own side. And because if we do think that things have a quality that way, we'll tend to go that route. And anybody that disagrees with the qualities you're experiencing is wrong. And then we need to do something with the people that are wrong. But if we understand mango is a projection forced upon me by something in my mind, as it is a different kind of edible for a worm or a kitten or something projected in their mind, then it's a different way of relating to reality. And why the hell are we talking mango? Because your whole world is exactly the same. This ain't computer coming that way. It's an experience of a functioning object working that way. This isn't a room coming this way. It's a functioning experience coming this way. And it works. It is a room for you. It's a trap for a bird. It's not a nice room to hang out in. It's death for a moth. It's not a nice Buddhist room to meditate in. Yeah? And it's not coming from the room. It's coming from the beings experiencing their reality, and something caused it. That thing isn't separate from cause and effect. Cause and effect. Everything that is changing is cause and effect. And so the essence here is understanding that technology. What is it that's putting in the seeds, if you will, that are projecting these images and experiences? And if you can manipulate those, then you can change your experience, even of death. Even of what we call death, and dying, and living, and birthing, and humaning. It's possible. If it's possible, and you want to figure out how, and that's waking up in you, then you don't have time, because you're dying in the normal way. Not only that, if there is a teacher that is teaching you and you are learning from them and you are experiencing this awakening from them, is there a teacher out there? This is awesome to me. Is there a teacher coming this way? There is a teacher. They're wearing orange robes and a nice teacher. They say perfect things. Does such a thing exist? As a teacher out there, separate from your mind projecting teacher?
No.
Based on the mango,
No.
impossible. Where is teacher coming from? If you did have a moment where your mom sat with you and just taught you something that changed your way of looking at the world, where did that moment come from? Did it come from your mom?
Well,
You've got to be sure of this. When you had a moment that you went, oh my God, I just saw something in the world, and it was because your mom told you something, did that teaching come from those words out of your mom?
It appears to.
Hmm?
It appears to.
For you, yes. You can say that. For you, of course it did. You were sitting there, your mom said something, you went, it came from your mom.
Right.
Does your mom possess those qualities and do those words hold that wisdom?
Not always.
That particular wisdom, that one that woke you up, that moment, is it in your mom? Was it in your mom? Was it in the words? No, it's just like this. Did it happen to you?
yes.
Yes. Is it in there? Did teacher, wisdom, was it self-existent, separate from my mind? Was it there?
No.
Impossible. What made it work that way?
Your karma.
We say your karma, but it's your mind projecting, not by choice, because otherwise you'd be choosing all the time. Mom, please teach me. Mom, please teach me.
Right.
Right? Not by choice. It happened. When you got sad the other day, did you choose it? No, it happened. Could you unchoose it? No, it happened.
Until you learn how.
Yeah, until you learn how. Yeah. So the point I'm trying to make here, the essence, one of the core shortcuts is finding a teacher, a heart teacher, the one that wakes you up. And I'm telling you, there's no teacher. There's no teacher separate from the stuff that is forcing you to experience teacher. Like there is no mango separate from the beings that are calling it and experience it as mango sweet, the best fruit on earth. Because some people experience it as mango, the most revolting, allergic, disgusting thing on earth. Who's right? Both. For whom does it function that it's disgusting? For those that have the seeds to experience it as disgusting. Are they pretending? No. What about the beautiful, lovely fruit? Are they pretending? No. Can this thing be both those things at once? This thing separate from those people. Can that be disgusting and perfect? That thing in there, can it have the quality of disgusting and at the same very time have the experience of blissful perfect? Can one thing be two things? No.
Why not?
Why not?
Because it's one thing. It can't be two things.
But if
You
different
just said it
people
did.
are experiencing.
No. I said separate from the people experiencing it. Remove the people that hate it. Remove the people that love it. You only have a floating object in space now. Does that radiate yumminess or disgustingness?
Neither.
Neither.
Would there be a thing though without it?
Good question. Would there be a thing without an experiencer? Good question. We'll get to the essence of that when we finish the Bodhisattva Avatar, the chapter on wisdom. Why am I telling you all this in 2018?
Because that's what we need to learn.
Maybe, I don't know, that's your karma to hear it. But I don't know what you're hearing. Yeah? But really, I'm trying to communicate an idea to you, that of emptiness. This is empty of being yummy. This is empty of being disgusting. Is that fair?
Yeah.
It doesn't have that nature. Is it disgusting? For some. Is it yummy? For some. So where did that yummy and disgusting come from? Here? Not possible. Because what is it? Half disgusting? So if I eat this half and then I move over to this half, it'll become,
That's right, yes.
you know? Huh?
And that happens.
That happens as well. So what happened? Something changed, something shifted, and this didn't. It's something here. And you can learn to have control of that. And that leads you to awakening from the dream that imagines things having their nature. That's a dream. It's not got a nature of yummy or disgusting. That's the illusion, because that's how we experience it. That's an illusion. That's not truth. The truth is, we just analyzed it. You reached it with your mind for a second. There's something in me, if I like it, that says it's yummy. There's something in them, if they hate it, that says it's disgusting. It ain't here. It never was. It never will be. But we always think it is. So we go and buy all the mangoes. Try and force my friend to eat mango salad. And they hate it. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? It's mango salad. You can make nice food with it.
Are you saying you shouldn't share your teacher with everybody?
No, good. The bottom line I'm saying is, if that's true for this, that's true for this, that's true for everything, you have to think that through. There's plenty of texts, there's plenty of classes. That's called karma and emptiness. Karma and emptiness is the very foundation of the Buddhist teaching. Yeah. What I'm saying, if that's true there, then when you have an experience of, aha, that's a teacher, my God, they just said something, it shattered my whole world. That is also your projection. Now, did that come to you because of the teacher or because of you? Because of you, right? Ultimately, yeah. Relatively,
Yeah.
the teacher, yeah. So you have identified that there is a wire connecting you to this entity that is alive. Oh my God, this thing I experienced as a teacher has a power that thing doesn't. Yeah, and if you keep wisdom, you recognize it's your projection, but it's still appearing as yummy mango.
Right.
Yeah? So what, you're gonna stop eating mango because you know it doesn't have a nature? No! You love mango. It's for you, so far, mango keeps being awesome. Something made this awesome, something in you. If you know what caused that, you can cause infinitely good mangoes. If not, at some point it will change and you will be mango sick. And you will find mangoes revolting. Because things in this planet just break down, including experiences of mango being yummy or mango being disgusting, teachers being wisdom and teachers being stupid. It's not changing because of the teacher, it's not changing because of the mango, it's changing because something in us is changing. And identifying that, especially with a teacher, because the teacher is the only way out. The teacher is really your only connection between us and enlightenment. There's no Buddha in here. They've gone 2,000 years ago, 2,500 years ago, bye-bye. And the only thing that left is texts and transmissions to beings. And if you're lucky enough to connect with someone that's had that awakening, because the wisdom isn't in the text, because the text is like a mango. It doesn't have a nature, right? The Heart Sutra is supposed to be like one of those wisdom texts. If I grab the Heart Sutra and I put it out there on the street and I interviewed everybody to say, excuse me, what does it mean? No, I know, you know, knows no time, no body, and no minds or forms or sounds or smells or tastes or touches or dharmas at all. Are you awake yet? Are you enlightened? When the Buddha said it, you should be awakened. Seriously. It ain't in the words, it ain't in the text, it's something in your experience projected onto otherwise no nature words, empty words. Yeah? And if you've had a millisecond of, oh, there's some mystical energy in there, that's good enough. Connect to it, but learn how to plant more of those seeds that will give you a teacher, a teaching. So the teacher becomes your ultimate connection to waking up. How do you plant seeds or karmas to get teachings if the law of cause and effect was equal to physical and non-physical objects? Teach. Help people find the teacher. If you haven't got a teacher, you want to find a teacher. If you want wisdom, what do you need to do? Teach. Teach whatever you know really well, give it away to people quickly. As soon as you know it, give it to somebody with the wish that they wake up. And you're imprinting your mind with the seeds that must grow and ripen over time into you walking up to your mom, and your mom says something stupid like, "Oh, did you hear this song? Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream." And you're like, "She just gave me the 3 principal parts of Buddhism. Row, row, row your boat. We're making efforts. Gently, the Buddha said, a gentle, compassionate, ethical life down the stream of our mind, our consciousness. Merrily, 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 joyful effort of the 6 perfections. Life is but a dream." She's talking about karma and emptiness. My mom is so wise. No, but this is what it will be for you. It really will be. You'll go, "Oh, those words." And then your brother's sitting there going, "Mom, don't be stupid. You're embarrassing." Same words. It didn't come from mom. And if you've had the fortune at least once in your life to actually meet a teacher that for a second you thought there's something beyond this experience, there's something communicating from that being, and it's just opened up your heart and then delivered a hook of wisdom. If you've had a millisecond of that through your best friend or your mom or your dad or a monk or a nun or the janitor, it doesn't matter. If you've had that experience on planet Earth, you can have it again if you know how to plant it. And then every word, every person on the subway will become a teacher. But the alternative is just keep living your life and pay the mortgage. With that, please join the teacher. That's the end of last class. It is now 8:20. You've got 20 minutes to get into 4 groups. Review last class, which is Vinaya. Please do it quick. Yeah, get to know each other in your groups. And we're going to have Rachel and Aaron over here leading a group. Sarah, are you very tired? Yes. Sarah and Richard leading a group there. Good. It'll get rid of your tiredness. Yeah. In this corner we've got Supriya, and in that corner we've got Stephen and Anthony. Yeah. And I'll give you, it's a lot, so try and go through it quick. Yeah. I want everyone's names, sharing who you are, what are you doing here, and give me the 2 quizzes. The last answer is the one I just gave you, the list of 10. Yeah. So you can find yourself the closest group, get to know each other, have a chat. We'll see you in 20 minutes. 7 and 8. Oh yeah, there's 4. 7. Oops. 74 to 79.
I'll ask it in a second, but I want to have the paper.
Oh, I didn't have it.
So that's 1. You got that 1. That 1. There you go. 7.
Alright, so I'm gonna go around in a circle and ask all these names. I'm Steven.
Steve, you got paperwork? Yes, you do.
And this is
And you've got it. Do you have paperwork? It's just staying from something. You have it or you don't have it?
Sarah?
Rachel. Yeah, I know. Make it quick. Thank you. You're always
So,
right.
Alright, so the first question.
Quiz 7 and quiz 8.
Says, explain the role of the extraordinary training of an ethical way of life in the development of the other two extraordinary trainings, especially the next one, by Jason Papa and his episode on ethics. So that's really confusing.
So the first question is explain the role of extraordinary training of an ethical way of life. So elements of extraordinary training.
Yeah, so the three extraordinary trainings are ethics, meditation, and consent. So the role of the extraordinary training of an ethical way in the development of the two. So he's saying how does ethics play a role in meditation?
You live in ethical way of life. You will be like if you look at the flip side, you're living
Yeah, but you want to go into more of like how you will feel because
you're going around the world watching yourself.
yeah. That's key there.
Nice offering.
You're not harming others, so you're not harming yourself. Harming an entity, right? If you're harming others,
Right, and of course, you need to
you would be doing harm to yourself, right? Like for your age, you can experience harm to you. So if you're just
in that same phase,
then how can you sit in meditation with your mind being
that the extraordinary training in meditative concentration
the second question is practice meditation with
not directly without reaching a high
and
level
then
of
concentration without
many states at the time as well. The fact that the extraordinary training in an ethical way of life is a prerequisite for the training and concentration that are ready to be forgotten. In the case of clean, undisturbed state of mind which is used by an ethical life. And
so they say the extraordinary training is but actually I would disagree with that answer, and I would say that when you want to take it on more, it's kind of like what Hector said about getting that higher power. You want to so like if you can like start to ignite that feeling in your mind, like it's not just renunciation, oh I want to get out of this for myself. Like you can start out and like as much as you're able.
somebody is doing the extraordinary training in ethics to reach the extraordinary training in meditation, which is needed for the extraordinary training.
Which one should be getting out of this? You should be listening to the teachings as the instruction and guidebook to get out of the
Right, so you can start at.
Good? Okay.
So I can try to read, describe motivation, which one should engage in a
So the question is just what's your
study Buddhism.
it shouldn't be for any of the aside from desire, just like getting out. It's hard when you go to this college all the time because it's like this is so hard on Thursday night. You don't like reading night. You don't like not you, but I'm listening. Sometimes there's that danger.
Not the one that I used to say would be the science, or the kind of routine, the wish for enlightenment.
Motivation would be that So getting public service.
Yeah.
is still on.
Just because
If keeping up this
they're
way of
what we're all
life
getting
or on something.
and if you don't restrain yourself from the action,
How do you look to others or about the honor and gifts you
like the only reason why we have
then the real point of that is you must be
That's it.
way of life, building of pronunciation.
you heard people, so you said I did go, the vows were like perfectly designed to turn your mind into a mind and
So
it's only a
before even getting to the visual application, you have to do like 6 of every
So
other
the fighting motion
possible.
vows are called fighting vows.
That's pretty example very good.
Yes. Name the 5 goals and 1 additional term.
Question 3.
Yeah.
When opening your mind to the text, Jason Hopper mentions that the vow of individual freedom
So,
constitutes the
it's
subject
the
matter
name
of
5.
chapters on Buddhism.
Right?
Explain why these vows
No
are given
killing,
different.
no lying, no cheating, no sexual misconduct, and no vows of engagement. Those are like the 5
Physical freedom constitutes.
And then the additional part is agreeing together.
I mean, I don't know the correct answer, but
Yes, agreeing together. Yes, so,
Do you remember your refuge vows at the beginning of your refuge vows? Not take refuge in you.
Quality vows.
Only after, and no one says you take a refuge and do that.
That's what they are referring to.
So the
Those are the refuge vows.
Yeah, but it's referring to not letting go of that.
And those vows
No,
are called and saying why are they called
But make sure you're discussing the meaning, yeah, which I hear you are. So how does it apply to us? And Peter, if you couldn't hear them, I can't hear them. So don't let Sarah be too technical.
Where are we at? Yeah. Name the 2, this is where it gets deeper.
They do own it, yeah. They do have
So like, and even if you read the vows, if you read it and you can still practice them that way, it's still like ultimately all the vows remembering and doing it
opposite way.
Jason's talk about, is it the epistle on ethics?
Yeah, the Epistle on Ethics from Shankara, which is a commentary on the Vinaya Sutra, which is a collection of all the Buddha's speech on how to keep ethics. So it actually is a text of one of the 3 baskets that over time was collected as one of the trainings of how every time the Buddha said, you should do this, you shouldn't do that, you should do this, you shouldn't do that. And some of them are called natural values, so things that we should do naturally because it will harm us if we don't, like killing, for example. Yeah. And others are called, I can't remember the name of it, but things that he had to tell people to do, because it became apparent that if he didn't, it will mess up. So for example, after he had like thousands of people following him from place to place, mostly monastics, you have to go, you can't throw the garbage out and leave it to the farmer to pick up. You know, and these are advices that were required because of some circumstance. They're not natural.
Like, so it's say,
Exactly, exactly. So these are corrections that he had to do as over 50 years of teaching, as he saw people misbehaving towards each other. He had to go, don't do that. Yeah. And they became monks now, monks vows and nuns vows. Huh? 360 depending. You can have 5, you can have 15, 46, depending on what level.
Oh, yeah. But that's not.
Never had to get the advice.
So you say,
Yeah, I just gave you that as a tip, so you could see it. Just give us the name, it's fine. Hi, how are you doing?
This additional part of the 5 rules,
Which is advices on refuge.
I let the basically layperson vows.
Huh?
Those layperson vows. So we would agree to never act against the advice
On refuge.
on going for refuge.
So in essence, all that are just heightened examples where you should apply that the world isn't coming this way but coming that way. Yeah. If the world is coming this way, then kill it. It doesn't matter. But if it's coming this way, killing is going to create the seeds that will cause your own world to be destroyed, your own health to be diminished. Yeah. The advices on refuge are all the advice that refer to correct view. Taking refuge in the 3 jewels, for example, Buddha, Dharma, Sangha. It's just remembering emptiness. In essence, the shortest cut that we give you is don't forget that there's no self-existence in the vow. Is remember emptiness all the time. So, for example, if you've taken the vow, if you've got refuge vows, don't take refuge in worldly objects after you've taken refuge in the Buddha, in the Dharma. It's remembering those things as you go about doing it.
I think it's also like at the same time, so kind of like you're manipulating and like the teacher says like it's one thing, and you're like, oh, this means I'm going to do this, and then you have to try to do this, you're like, I already like this, so I have to teach her what I'm doing, or like, I get back to the so like I think that having that
So we got a name.
David, what question are you guys asking? Okay, Sarah, hurry up. You guys are behind. They're going good. They're going good. You guys are losing.
And have little energy.
So this is how that right other things were like, and then they write in the original way, so for example, killing.
It's just the personal ones that I'm asking for in the question, the quiz. Not the environmental. In the quiz? Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought it said just one.
Short life is basic, easily,
Sí, sí salió mal, ¿eh? Sí, sí salió mal.
I'm gonna try to do it semi.
Are you guys understand these?
So,
Yeah, I know
it's very
So, for each of these, if you break them, and then there's an environment. So you have your feeling, right? So your life is become short, you get sick easily, you have low energy, and then the environmental, where you live, you'll find that basically medicine, etc.
So we all are aware, right?
That most people around you.
But some people are.
Well, we want to hire this. It's like the conflict coming correlations to like what you're doing. So if you're stealing, you guys want to guess what would be personal yeah, so like them stealing from you, having
This is talking a lot about microbes, but like, not like one of the
Well, think of crops, think of crops as the fruits of your work, of your job. Think of crops as all the effort you're doing to till your world, to give your job, or pay your rent, to, because they're very related to yak purpose. Listening at the time, listening at the time.
The environmental result is the crops are few and far between, they have no hours of the week of weather, they spoil and
Anthony, sorry, I just heard you guys say crops, and I've instructed them as well. Remember the teachings at the time, we're talking to yak herders, right? For you guys, crops means all the work you're putting in your job, day in, day out, and not fruiting or spoiling easily. They're your crops. We're harvesting our crops by going to the job and going, it's gonna work out really good, right? So the instruction was for yak herders. But if you had to rewrite them for today's thing, it's like when you go for the job interview, it didn't work out too good.
Number two, so there's three bodies, three from like 4 speech and 3 in mind. So we just did 2 bodies.
And these are the only things that when you're in a relationship,
First of all,
that for example,
cheating on your partner, a person with whom you are.
we're not person, they're up on the board, they're very technical, but still, it's okay, yeah. Okay.
5 minutes.
Yeah.
Harsh speech.
Environmentally, you're trying to work with others, but you just can't see your group. And everyone's cheating on one another.
You live in a place where you aren't in features all around, and blood,
You
dirt,
lose friends
filth,
easily.
everything's
People around you are fighting. People around questions is character. Environmental results.
Work around you are inconsistent or unreliable, and you find yourself having a lot of conflict.
Now we're going to the one with speech.
And when others
You guys remember any of
I
don't talk. We're not going to
environmental around where you live is dangerous. So if you're in your sharp glass, there's no
Or be a consequence of top.
there might be things here.
That would be, I mean, not necessarily that
Okay, I don't
number,
know.
that would be not lying, that would be lying.
Okay. Personal result, no one listens to you. You don't share words. No one thinks that you're environmental results. Fruits refuse to grow
So finding out conflicts or meeting with status, criticism, disputes.
Sure, yeah.
Useless joking,
It might
lying,
seem like our bill
gossip.
law is gonna be great.
So the personal result is no one listens to you,
There's
no one
place
respects what
around
you say,
parks,
no
nowhere
one
to laugh.
respects what you say.
And there are things around you that make you are great.
Yeah, no one
Crazy,
that what you have to say has any particular
personal
value,
development, personality,
and you are quickly
personality,
with a lack of confidence and self-esteem.
environmental results, everything that time starts to get worse.
Not making
I feel like it's not very similar. But what do you want?
There we go. Let's take a picture of that.
Wait, so you're,
The environmental one is, fruits refuse to grow or grow in time, so, property, and yes, that's a good place. There are no leisure places around, like parks, or local water. Many
So
people
it'll
around.
Your personality will be dominated by anger, and you're always finding yourself without help from around. Oh my God, this is going to be sharper. And never, you're always hurting.
I was kind of just like some of the,
Environmental life,
Well, not to Ben, it's lack of feeling, not well.
Mine, so it's good mine.
Finally, a wrong view of police. Okay, so now you're believing that everything comes from you. Personal result is your personality is
Will
dominated
you
by
be environmental conflict?
environmental results. You live in a world with stable, highest source of happiness.
Your work in cooperation with others fails to prosper, and people around you don't work well together. Everyone generally is cheating one another and is afraid, and there are many things to be afraid of.
So what I'll say about this is like,
A lot of
And this secondary comments, most of our business, social media, marketing, is creating misimpressions and life to get attention. And also someone
so like when I ever be and there's other chat that is going for like in the real sharp weapon, it's like, oh, are you bad? No, I don't use this.
Harsh words.
Oh, you have an idea of real sharp weapon. That'll be an ACI course, which we'll have to.
As a personal thing?
Yeah, next course.
So, I don't know. So it's all to say, like, we all.
How far are you guys up?
Because.
That's it? You got 3 minutes, max 2 minutes. You're done?
So the person.
Sarah, how you doing? You done? You got 2 minutes.
Then the environmental results are strong. If the ground where you live is covered with obstacles, like fallen trees on the storms, broken glass is rough, weary, no streams or water springs, ground is parched.
Like the valves, for example.
Burning hot and threatening, there are many things to do. Going back to
Like you can do a meditation upstairs. To look at your actions, meditation. What am I creating? What am I destroying? What am I creating?
People around you are always fighting one another, and people around
So if
you
there
have
is,
and you are always afraid, and there are many things to be afraid of.
and many times, really, like, say your relationship
Company?
Correct.
in
Creating
your
a company.
memory, you only know things.
So that the same covenant between one possessions and personal qualities, like your intelligence, health, pain, use, spiritual comes to 5 conditions. Desire to accumulate more than you have, discover another possession, on your own, and the desire becomes unmanageable and you will change.
But it's all necessarily.
Be the same person, same anytime. You just won't get.
Unless you have correct codes in your mind.
Never
Also, you
saw.
can see good things that's going on.
Personality is dominated by desire, and you're never satisfied.
Okay, time.
Okay. Environmental results is everything you do, manage the climate, works, inclusive as
Because here in Florida.
the next one is ill will.
We got to try.
Personal results is say will is your personality is dominated by anger. You're always finding yourself needing help. You never find the help you need. And you are always hurting others or always being hurt. Environmental results of ill will is visible world chaos, disease, stress, evil is everywhere. Conflict, instability, animals, and then the last one is
Is that what you got Yeah. This
you are a person who is responsible for you. You are
and it seems like in some groups, I think, have a different view of it. I'm ready. Come on. Okay, we're on Buddhism. You can keep those answers.
All of it.
Sarah, I'm working you because you're vulnerable. It's going deeper. Yeah, that's why I'm working you. Thank you. How'd you go?
We didn't get to the 10 teacher qualities.
But you heard them. Yeah, can you fill it out?
I am. Oh, I can give you this after, yeah.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it is time. So much. What the hell? Yeah, I'll take some, please. Yeah. Actually, can you get this? This is so small in the fridge. And get me the big glass, please. The plastic ones. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. It was hard at a half hours. Yeah. It's hard. It's really hard to summarize 10 weeks into a 20-minute session. Yeah. And that's what you just did. You just summarized a 10-week course into 25 minutes of getting to know each other and talking about weird words. Yeah. But if you got the summary of the concept is what you do matters way more than you think, because you are always watching and recording in your own consciousness every single minutia of intention, whether you're hyper aware or subtly aware. You know why the hell you're doing things. And every record of that is growing inside you right now, not later and not the ones you choose, all of them. Every single millisecond of your existence is your karma being planted, which is what is projecting your future reality. The one you're living in right now, the consciousness that is you has that in it from before. That's this idea, the Eastern way of looking at it, which means it's changeable because it's in you. If it ain't in you, it ain't changeable. If angry boss that pissed you off existed out there in the job the way it appears, you're screwed. Shoot yourself. You know, it's not going to help you. You can't change them because they're an ass, right? The fact that they change means there's something in you. Your relationship to them changes in something in you. And if you know the power of that, you know how to manipulate that, you got the ticket, the golden ticket out of this stuff that breaks down, called samsara. And so the bottom line is what you just covered is the entire course on Vinaya, on ethical practices. Some that the Buddha said are natural ethical practices that will stop you from hurting, like don't hurt others, you don't get hurt. Right? No, really don't do it. Not, I'll do it sometimes, just don't do it. Because any amount of it will hurt you. Because karma grows. Yeah? And then there's some non-natural, something that doesn't come naturally, some advices he had to give because people followed him around over his 50 years of teaching, and then when 2,000 monks and nuns are walking around and destroying Deer Park, he has to say, you can't do that in public, people. You can't do that to each other. You can't say they can't get enlightened and they can. So he had to give some advices because groups of humans got together trying to get enlightened and they were hurting each other in the process. So he gave advices for monks and nuns, which became the Vinaya. Yeah, so some are natural to all of us and some are prescribed because he needed to make some rules. So, and these are all his advices that let you look finitely at what your mind is doing and giving you correlations that might not be natural to you. If you don't know why you're a sickly person, this might give you an alternative than trying to have the green juice all the time, going to the gym all the time. It doesn't mean those don't work. Don't be silly. They work for those that have the seeds to make it work. Yeah, so there's a big difference from saying, oh, I'm a Buddhist and I'm just going to plant good karmas and I'm not going to care what I do outwardly. No, it just puts another layer of in-depth reality to what already seems to work for you. Yeah? So you don't have the karma to get healthy. It doesn't matter how much green juice you have. It might make you sicker. You have the karma to get healthy. It doesn't matter how little green juice you have, you will get healthy. It's not in the juice. Yeah? Something will manifest your karma. You need stuff to manifest it. And you just cover that in an in-depth discussion. Yeah? And if it's new to you, congratulations. You've just opened up a different perspective. Don't get overwhelmed. This is not even touching the surface of what was taught in relation to this. This is the technology of how to manipulate your mind in a strong way, taking vows, because vows heighten the intention we place. Rather than, I'm just going to be a nice person, and if it works out good, yes, you're going to get the results of being a nice person. But if you vow to be a nice person, what's your mind doing every time you're not being a nice person? It's going, warning, we're warning, and you're like, oh, I'm going to do all this attention to be a good person. What's it doing when you're being a good person? Awesome, awesome, look at you, you're doing what you promised. So the karma is much stronger, which means a faster result and bigger result. So vows is a powerful way to accelerate cause and result as it really happens in our mind. With that said, you finish the Vinaya course, yay. It rarely gets taught in the West because of how weird it is, right? Like it's strange to talk about what we were talking about. We try not to in the West. It rarely gets taught in the West. We're lucky we got this 12-week course, 10-week plus some review. Whew. Okay. Let me tell you about Mr. Three Thoughts. Yeah. We're about to open a completely new concept, a new idea. We're reviewing a new course altogether, which will be this class and next class and the beginning of the next course. But I wanted to start with a story of, are you from China? Yeah. Now, do you know Journey to the West?
Yeah.
Who knows Journey to the West? Who knows what that is? Journey to the West is that this iconic text in China of Master Xuanzang, yeah, like a Buddhist monk in China who went to Nalanda University in India. Took him 12 years. He went through Afghanistan and a whole bunch of things. And the story of who he encountered and what realizations he got and whatever. He got to Nalanda. Just before he got there, this stuff happened, okay? This is around the year 700 AD. There was a monk in Nalanda, which was like the university in the universe where you had to go study. That's 700 AD. And there are hundreds of monks and nuns from all over the place studying. And there was this one monk who didn't seem so scholarly. It's like going to Harvard or better, yeah? And there's this one where all the other elite students were looking, going, this one doesn't fit, so we'll call him Mr. Three Thoughts, because he seems to be interested in just three things, which is whenever there's food, he seems to come around, right? So food, and the result of eating too much of the food was that he'd be pooping a lot. So he's always in the toilet, yeah, he's eating a lot, and then he's sleeping the rest of the time. He's not turning up to class. It's a bit of an embarrassment. This is an elite organization, Nalanda University, right? And there's this fat dude called Mr. Three Thoughts, yeah? And so we don't like him because he's not like us. So we should try and kick him out. So some of the students in there conspired to figure out how to kick Mr. Three Thoughts. So Busuku in Sanskrit means Mr. Three Thoughts. Yeah, the Dusha Sambhava is in Tibet. So, yeah. Mystery. And so they conspire that there's a tradition in the university that every sort of important student should give a lecture every now and then to show their mastery over the knowledge. So they said, why don't we invite Mr. Three Thoughts to come and give us a lecture, because he'll be so embarrassed, he doesn't know anything, he'll run away, we don't have to kick him out, we'll all be fine. They're like, yeah, yeah. So they went up to him and like, hey, Mr. Three Thoughts, we've got this great thing, we need you to teach. Would you be kind enough to teach? And he's like, sure, no problem. And they're like, we got him, right? We got him. So the day that he had to teach on this weekend or whatever, they made a throne. It's traditional to create a throne for the teacher so high and without steps to it that it would be impossible for him to jump on there. So he would be embarrassed to climb up if he ever did show up, right? So hundreds of monks. I can't remember the exact number. I think it might be 1,500 monks that were there.
Yeah, the whole school.
Old school, yeah. And they're all ready, and Mr. Three Thoughts comes up to the very high throne, and they're all like, watch him. And in a millisecond, he's up there. He's like, oh, on top of the throne, and everyone's like, what the hell happened? Right? And he goes, would you like me to teach you something that we already know, or would you like me to teach you something that I've written? And they're like, teach us something you've written, yeah? And so he starts rattling on this most incredible text called the Bodhisattva Charyavatara, the guide to the Bodhisattva's way of life, which is a condensed and incredible text where the 6 perfections come from, that unites all of the Buddhist teachings and forces you to understand why there's a shifting worldview would shift your world, how you can reach complete Buddhahood with these practices. Yeah, and so he starts reciting this text, and these people are in awe. First of all, that he's memorized. Second, that it's so eloquent and precise, and it follows this order that you can't help but fall into the text. And it's the most magical thing that I've ever heard at Nalanda University. Everyone's like, my God, except they're not saying God because they're Buddhist. And then until it gets to the 9th chapter. The 9th chapter is the chapter on wisdom, where he talks about emptiness, and he begins to be more and more in depth and so specific about emptiness that even the highest scholars are really trying to follow him, but they're finding it hard. And as they're doing is, some people they're lost, they can't follow, and he begins to rise on, the story goes, he begins to rise on his cushion, and he begins to get higher and higher, and people can't hear him if they don't have the karma to, right? And it begins to get so far away as it goes into the chapter on wisdom, on emptiness, that they begin not to be able to see him. So some monks can't even see him, so they're going to use clairvoyance to try and follow him, and they can hear him, and then he completely disappears. It gets to the end of the 9th chapter, and only a few people with clairvoyance can actually hear him, and then finish. And then they all get together and say, what happened, and where is he, and what the hell? And how many chapters did he say in his text? Because they all have memorizing skills. Like, I heard 8. No, there's 9. No, there's 10. And there's this debate about how many chapters there was. And those with clairvoyance said, no, I heard this and that. And what you did? What did I hear? I heard this and that. And then they all came together and they pieced together this text. And then they went searching for him all over India. And they found him way on the other side of India, just hanging around like a normal person around a stupa. And they're like, we are so sorry. We didn't know who you were. You must be this incredible master. Please come back to Nalanda University. He's like, no, I'm good. Thanks. I don't need to be over there. I've done that. It's like, please come back to Harvard. It's like, no, you guys are. But if you want a copy of the text, it's in the rafters in my room. Yeah. And so they went back and they found the rafters, and this is the book we're studying. And this is one of the earliest copies of the book. It's called Bodhisattva Charyavatara. And like in every class, because we took so long reviewing, I'm only going to let you taste the titles and the essence, and then you get to review it together later, right? I'm so sorry. I really am. Yeah, but like every good text, every time there's a Buddhist class, what's the first thing that Buddha taught or the masters taught? What's the first thing they do to you when they teach you the text?
Got a teacher? Did I say get a teacher?
Did you get warning?
Huh?
Oh, the warning.
Oh, okay, that's the formal way. Yeah, maybe I asked the question weird. They sell you on the bloody thing. They're like, this is the most incredible text you will ever learn. There's no better text than this. Really, this is the one that will get you enlightened, right? So have you not been to enough classes where it's been the class? That you have? Yeah. Okay, so this text is no different, right? This is the text that will get you enlightened. It is the most powerful collective piece of knowledge that in itself you can wake up. So then the first chapter on the text is what are the benefits to the subject matter on the text, which is the wish to get enlightened. Yeah, bodhicitta, the wish. If you imagine developing a wish that you could, Buddha, wake up, that you would forget the illusion and see the real cause behind things. Imagine that capacity, and you having a fervor or a wish that if I could reach that, I would be in complete bliss. Imagine having that wish develop in you. And then to that wish say, for the sake of every single creature who's in exactly the same boat as me, may when I figure it out, may I be able to transform every other life on this planet. May I have this unlimited love and compassion for every being that has to go through some suffering that they don't realize they are causing because they're stuck in an illusion. So imagine having this fervor develop. The text begins by saying why that would be amazing, why that would be incredible. Like in the Western worldview, we think, and it's challenging for us, as you saw in the thing, the Western worldview, we think if you rearrange, if you adjust, if you just could adjust how much potency the green juice will have, you'll be fine. Yeah, if you could just adjust the shape of your girlfriend's body just a little bit, you'd be really happy. Seriously. Yeah, if you could just adjust that job. You know, we're all hoping day to day to adjust the stuff out there. This mango would be amazing with a little bit of salt and chili, right? Well, and you're like, look, no. And so we, in the Western world, because we think things come that way, yeah, we think, okay, if I rearrange the chairs, I'm going to be A-okay. And the reality is that will never happen, could never, hasn't already happened. There isn't anybody. In fact, in addition to that, like an insult, we think that because we're secretly suffering, we're secretly having this, if I just adjust this, one day I'll be happy. We think she's happy because look how lovely she is, right? She's smiling. Mackenzie looks like she's having a good time. I'm not calling her Lindsay today. She's, and so we looked at Mackenzie and we're like, shit, she's happy. I'm the problem. I'm the only one. But everyone else must be. And so we have this additional problem in our worldview that somebody's found that thing. But sorry to say so, Mackenzie, but something will come and get you. Yeah. Even if you're experiencing, and I'm not saying it to wish bad on you, I'm just saying if you get real and you see it coming, you could prevent it. If you ignore that it's coming, it's going to catch you by surprise, and when it catches you by surprise, you're shocked and you'll react rather than respond. And if you don't know where it's coming from and how it's caused, you're going to react instead of responding with ignorance, not knowing how to change it. But if you can respond to it, understanding its foundation, its true cause, the essence of why it is that way, you have a much better chance at affecting it, rather than guessing. So the wish, developing this wish that I could wake up so I can help everyone else wake up, can I develop a kind of love for everybody on the planet so I can help everybody just get over the thing that is hurting me too. Imagine that thing developing in you. This book begins by telling you the magic that would do, and I'll cover it in a second, and why that specific thing is enough to turn your normal into enlightenment, the highest enlightenment, Buddhahood. Yeah, and then it says, well, once you realize how awesome that could be and might be, you already done some stuff that's already in your mental continuum that's going to trip you up. So we're going to show you how to purify, get rid of those blockers that are already projecting suffering life. So it says there's stuff happening to you that you don't like, and it's not in fixing the things out there, it's fixing something there. So it's going to talk about purification. And then it's going to talk about, well, how do you get that wish? Yeah. Once you understand that it can help you, and you can stop the things that would prevent you from getting it and block you, well, how do you acquire it? And then look at things about yourself and talk about the ceremony and so on. And after you've acquired it, How do you tend to it so carefully? How do you make sure it doesn't get destroyed as it's beginning to sprout in you and old habits don't come up? And so the text gradually takes you onto how to develop this worldview, which is different from the Western worldview of if I just adjust, my world will be happy. This one's saying, yeah, if you adjust in here, your world will be happy. Not moving those things, right? So it's systematically going, well, what is it in here that's projecting the reality I'm having? And then it covers the essence of what we just covered. It says, once it's developed and you've got it sprouting, you've got to have this guardian awareness. It's the same word that we use for watchfulness in meditation. It's saying, keep your ethics. Be careful to not plant any more crappy stuff that will produce negativity. And then how to even grow that further is not having a moment of anger, I think. How to develop joyful effort, meditative concentration, wisdom, and the last chapter is dedication. So the 6 perfections are locked in there for those of you that know them in this manner. You see them? So dedicating, giving away. So you study the entire text on how to wake up your heart to feel a kind of love. After you've figured it out, learned how to develop it and so on, then that imprint in your mind, you give it away and that becomes perfection giving for those of you who are interested. I want to say something about the 4th perfection, the chapter on joyful effort. There are people in this room, and I sent you a text today, who get really excited about creating an awesome space for all of us to come together. They've worked their asses off for more than 2 years, some of them, to build this floor and paint these walls and have a curriculum and have beautiful pictures on Instagram. And they get together at least on a monthly basis as a team and then individually almost every day. And they get off like weirdos going, imagine how cool it would be if we had a class on how to do this so people can feel this. And I see the joy in them, and I see the excitement in them. And the team of volunteers that do that here are the same. They're getting off on helping others. And you don't need any more than knowing that to experience what it's like to have the chapter on joyful effort, on really loving doing good things, because it changes your chemistry, changes your mind. And so we don't need to cover that topic. You just need to hang out with I call them the God group, the guardians of the Dharma. Yeah, the volunteers and the teachers that teach here for nothing. This is run by volunteers. And it's that joy, that getting off, that's hanging around in cafes going, I've just done an 8-hour day at work and I've got to do this and that, but let's get together for 2 hours and talk about Instagram pictures, and let's do this and talk about how we can do a schedule, and let's do a surf club, and let's do this and let's do that. And they are so excited, and it's for us. It's for us to have this. Yeah. So that's that chapter. I'm going to give you a quick summary on metaphors that the text uses to describe the benefits of discovering this wish to wake up, yeah, because it could change everything. And the first one is it's an alchemical elixir, because it can change normal body into that of an enlightened being. In secret teachings, that is a literal thing. Yeah, in the open teachings, we can just say, oh, you can become a Buddha one day, and we're all like, yeah, no, it doesn't matter, shut up. Right? But in real terms, if you understand nothing has a nature, your body also has a nature, does not have a nature. And the way you're forced to experience it now isn't its nature. It could be different. Prove it. This body was 5 years old. It's not, it wasn't like that. It's changing. And if it's changing, it ain't changing this way. It appears that way like mango. Something in here is changing. If you figure out how to change that, this and the death process and the aging process for you, if you have the seeds, could be the most magical transformation you've ever had. And that's worth pursuing. And it doesn't have to go through cycles of coming and going. It's also the metaphor for this text for the wish, bodhicitta, the wish to get enlightened for the sake of others, is also seen as a precious jewel that can remove the poverty. Is that there? Yeah. Of what poverty are we talking about? Money poverty? No, we're talking about the poverty of thinking. Stuff has its nature. Like, there's a poverty in our worldview that says if we just have the right adjustment, I won't be disappointed. Yay! Yeah, that we're doing that all the time. I found the job. Oh. It's just 6 months later or 2 years later. I've got the relationship. Oh. Yeah, you know, and we're doing it constantly. So it removes that poverty. They say an evergreen tree because it continues to give fruit even when it's winter. A great warrior because it protects us from fear and anger. And the great fire, if you study the Abhidhamma Kosha, it talks about the great fire at the end of an eon that can destroy universes. It can destroy negative seeds, the things that are causing normal. Having this wish can destroy that in just like that, the fire. Yeah. So we don't have time to do this dialogue, but imagine that if there is this thing called the wish to wake up, and what that would lead us to do for the sake of everyone else. It doesn't mean you have to let go of your job and just do that and be in a cave and developing the wish and do that. That's actually stupid. No. Yeah? You don't have to leave your life. You're just adding purpose to your life. You still sit at the useless computer that will not work. Yeah? You'll still go on the phone that needs an upgrade. But it now has, every action of yours now has a meaning that is unsurpassed. Make everyone wake up because of this thing I'm about to do. Yeah, and then all of a sudden your life really has some meaning because you're planting the seeds for it too. And then you'll begin to experience it. And all you need is one of those experiences to ripen in your mind to perceive that as the cause effect result, for you to have confidence to go, there is no other way to wake up. Yeah, it'll come in. So you'll see a question of why nothing else than the wish to wake up, to reach enlightenment. Imagine the wish to be a perfected mind, yeah, for the sake of everyone else. May I help everyone else be a perfected mind? Why is that enough to transform your entire world? Why is that planting that seed enough to see your entire world as perfected? Your turn to speak. Why would that? Why not buying enough trucks?
Because if in every single interaction that you're having, you're trying to create something better for the other party, then in every single interaction you have, you'll be forced to see someone else trying to help you. Or
Right. Okay, close.
Is it like a perception thing?
It's only a perception thing. Right? So is this world, a suffering world, out there like the mango, separate to your experience of it? By logic, the world isn't the way it is for you by itself. It's the way it is for you because something in you. Yes, but I see it too, and I see it too. Good. We collectively share that perception. Dogs don't. They have a different world. Bats have a different world, and it's all dependent on something in them. Forcing this thing, we are so sure, is this world, but they are experiencing a completely different thing. And we as a collection of beings just share enough of those karmas to see it similarly. It's just cause and effect, right? If the cause is to get this wish to reach enlightenment, and you understand enlightenment to be no higher state, there's nothing higher than the ultimate evolution of a being, if you consider enlightenment being the highest evolution of your consciousness, there's nothing beyond it. It has no suffering. It is perfected. It is all-encompassing. Yeah, and then on top of that, you have that wish towards every single moving thing that has a mind in existence. There's no other totality than the highest possible way I could be, or one can be, enlightened, planted towards every single moving creature, being, made every single one of them that has a mind experience this, then that's totality. That's all of it. And the result must be equal to the cause. then every single thing you experience you'll be forced to perceive as the highest thing ever. So then when you look at your neighbor or your boss, if you have the seed, you can't see an angry boss anymore. You'll see a Buddha teaching you, and you'll be in bliss because it's not coming from them. And it'll be like that towards every moving thing that you move. So it's only this wish, the planting of karmic seeds in your mind, that make everything wake up, and you let that bubble and toil and grow in your consciousness, then you'll be forced to see everything with the same quality that you've imbued it with. Does that make sense? Yeah. Whew, we got so much to cover. I'll do it in 7 minutes, promise. So we'll get you out of here before 1:45. Like I said before, you can purify, you need to prepare to purify, and this is the magic of all the stuff we've been teaching here. The preliminaries to purification, which are directed at the 3 jewels, include prostration, taking refuge, and making offerings. If that list looks familiar to you because you did the meditation teacher training, it's not there for no reason at all. It's there to begin to clean your mind of the things that prevent you from having this wish. And they are all directed at the highest object you can imagine, the 3 jewels. We can talk about that. But then we go to the Sutra on the 4 Forces, which is these 4 specific steps, which if you remember nothing else today, you should remember this, because this will help you look at whatever you've got growing in your mind that causes suffering, any sickness, any distress, any depression, any breakups, any money brokenness, anything like that has a cause. It didn't happen for no reason. And according to this system, you're part of the cause. You're an important part of the cause. It's your mind projecting brokenness on something. It's your mind projecting sad breakup on an otherwise empty relationship that was nice at one point and now it isn't. So what made it that? There's some seeds in me that are destroying my happiness. How do I stop them? How do I purify them? How do I destroy them? The Buddha taught the Sutra on the 4 Forces. And I'll just list them here. They're listed differently in the Sutra as I'm listing them here, but this is the working order versus the listed order. So the first thing is you think of refuge, which just means think of karma and emptiness. Things don't have a nature. This situation I'm having right now, the breakup or the problem with my relationship or the brokenness, doesn't have a nature from its own side. It could be anything. And instead, I'm experiencing it as a breakup. But there's no suffering in that experience like the mango. So that is a kind of refuge. Yeah, it's like, oh, there could be other stuff in there, but there must have been something in me that forced me to see it as a breakup. So I've got some energy in here that's forcing this experience that could be anything to be a sad breakup. Does that? Yeah? So you build some regrets. I wish I didn't have that. I wish I didn't do the things that forced this to be that way, because I must have done one of the correlations you did before. I must have broken up someone or not been faithful to someone to experience a breakup. I wish I didn't have that growing and now depositing it on you. So the next force is I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to do an antidote to that. I'm going to stop myself from doing any kind of breaking anyone up. I'm going to make myself a promise that for the next 2 days or 4 days, I'm not going to do the things that could cause a breakup. Or for the next month or so. Whatever you could do to antidote the thing that's causing your experience of that. And lastly is the restraint force. Sorry, I did it in reverse. I did the restraint just now. The antidote is something opposite, something that would bring people together. Yeah, that instead of you would refrain from causing things is the restraint force. You would refrain from doing the actions that would cause you to see yourself as a breakup. And you would then do the opposite. You try and bring people together that are fighting. You try and make peace between people. You try and add some positive to what's already a negative experience. Does that make sense?
So here it says restraint is not correlated to restraint. So is the other order?
I made a mistake. So
what's the actual
antidote
order?
should be 4, and restraint should be 3.
But she's also saying, antidote, we have restraint. And
I know, so restraint should be next to restraint,
Yeah.
Okay.
and antidote should be under resolution.
Okay.
My fault. Got it? I'm gonna do it right now so you don't misquote me. And
Is foundation like agency?
foundation is get to the truth, which is understand emptiness. It's like when you fall, you want to push yourself up against something solid like the ground. And the most solid thing is
That nothing is solid.
that nothing has a nature. There's no higher truth than the most solid thing is nothing. It's not nothing, it's something. It's a lack of something. Are they up there or not yet?
Not yet.
It's thinking through it slowly, I apologize. Still there?
One more to go.
Wow, that's good.
Yay.
Cool, that's better, okay?
Yeah.
Apologies, thank you for that. I didn't see it. Then the text will go through why the 4 forces together work, and this is interesting for those of us who have studied the 4 forces. If the reality that I'm describing is the way the matrix works, it's not arranging things out there, but something in us, cause and effect in our minds, then we've got no idea how that works. It doesn't come natural to us. It's not in our nature. So we've been doing things, misunderstanding cause and effect from time without beginning. So one of the reasons to purify negativity that's happening to us using those 4 forces is because we don't understand the laws of cause and effect anyway. And if we did understand, it'd be hard to follow because we've already got the habit of doing the opposite. Right? So let's say I told you, you will get enlightened if you no longer look at the world as coming from its side. Yeah? And you all understand. Nod your head, say, I understand. Yeah? I understand. Now promise me you'll keep that up until midnight tonight. That every single experience you have, getting on the train, getting out of this room, opening the door, having a thought, yeah? Going to the toilet, thinking that the toilet will take away your pee-pee, right? You can't think that way. You've got to think that it's all a result of your projection. That's really how it is. If you promise me you'll do it till midnight, you'll get enlightened, I promise, right? So even if you know the truth, we can't do it. We got such a negative inertia the opposite way that it takes so much effort for us just to conceive of that, let alone keep it up until my next sentence. My next sentence also comes from you. No, it does. And what was the last one? Must be remove obstacles. Anyway, there's lots out there. I'm going to, there's 3 more slides. So I'm just going to show you the slides and we're going to get talk about them next week. On the 3rd chapter, it talks about, well, once you've cleared away the obstacles that could let you have this wish that is the steps that will wake you up, the next chapter talks about, well, how do you grow bodhicitta, right? How do you keep it going? And rejoicing is one of the key practices, asking your teacher that doesn't come from themselves to teach and to stay as another practice, and dedicating any karmas, any good imprints, giving them away quickly before you get a chance to ruin them. Yeah? See, no, because that's what we'll do, right? So let's imagine that for a millisecond, I don't know, you all look tired and I'm talking about too many things and we're trying to do 3 classes and blah, 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 right? Imagine that there was a millisecond here where your mind truly tapped onto the idea that enlightenment is possible for each of us. Just imagine that that is a possibility. And that imprint must have a result. That's an amazing karma. Just the fact that you had an aha. Now, if you keep it in you, that's going to have cause and effect, isn't it? That will give you an effect. And then that will begin a new inertia. But with that in your mind, if you walk out the door and then get lost in Instagram conversation, idle talk, or did you see her? She asked a stupid question. It gets muddied with our regular everyday work. Before we do that, to any goodness, like listening to a teaching, having an aha, doing a day's volunteer job, or what, before it gets screwed up by a screwed up way of thinking, we grab that karma, that mental imprint, and we give it away quickly. We imagine, may it reach everybody right now, may it help my mom or whatever, which is adding an unstoppable karma that everybody gets the benefit, because you're going to get rid of, you're going to destroy it anyway, right? And the result of that is actually getting the wish. You see it? Oh, no, it's awesomely good.
What's the fifth?
Did I say 5?
Yeah, you only put up 4.
Well, we're going to find out next week. Sorry. Where are we? 5 practices. There's a question about rejoicing, and then I'll do this slide and the next. Yeah, it's still in chapter 3 about being happy of all the things you did to continue getting a human rebirth or higher, about being happy about anyone that's trying to get enlightened, get nirvana for themselves. You should be happy for that. These are things you could rejoice about, or anything that people have done to reach a state of awakening, anything at all you could just rejoice about, and that also gives you imprints. It talks about it in this chapter. What's the opposite of rejoicing? If rejoicing is such a cool, awesome thing, what's the opposite of being happy about doing good?
Being dissatisfied.
Being dissatisfied. And which is called?
Jealousy.
Jealousy, yeah. So jealousy, being unhappy towards others, is a complete no-no for bodhisattvas. You're trying to change your whole world to benefit everybody else. The last thing you want to do to that wish as it's developing is going, I want everyone to be happy, but I really don't want you to have Instagram followers that are more than mine. Right? Like, it's just weird for a person developing the wish to have any kind of jealousy. Dedicating, I just told you about, there's basically 4 types, and there they are. And then the last question we'll talk about, basically you're dedicating that you could be the solution for everyone, which is, it helps you maintain the wish. Yeah, of course, you're thinking of everyone. Yeah. And here it is. Sorry to do this very shortcut. I want to get you out before 2 minutes from now to keep my word. This is the essence of the text, and this course lasts for 30. This book lasts for 36 classes, 33 or 36 classes, depending on how you count. We did it in a 1.5 years worth of teaching. You're doing it in 2 or 3 classes. Yeah. I hope you get the essence that there is a book, and in this book, written around 700 AD, by this incredible being who wasn't who he appeared, like people in this room might not be who they appear. Yeah, Mr. Three Thoughts, who had such an incredible insight on how to wake up, that if you follow these things, you will logically see what a transformative experience you can have of this very same world that is giving you happinesses that don't last, and then unhappinesses that don't last, with happinesses that last, and unhappinesses that there's a different way to see this world, and it's not out there, it's in here. And it's rich with meaning, and it's a kind of love. So with that, let's dedicate, give it away before we destroy it. Woo!
Sashir
Pukia Jushin Metatram Viram Nishin Yampadi Sange Shindu Niteluargi Ropun Nanda Shinla Chuparsho Hiram Guru Ratnamandala Kamniyamayami Dirgokun Sunam Yashe Sososhin Sunam Yashem Dampar Punita Varsho. Thank you so much for staying a little later and going through really quite difficult things to think about. May any of it or some of it stick, and may you dream about the possibilities that you have already inside of you right now, and may they awaken before someone else comes to get you. My pleasure. No, please keep coming, and I'll keep teaching. And next week we'll finish this. And then there's one more class up next week, which is more of a discussion, and we can go, oh, not so much breakdown. What about this? And what about that? We'll have that after next week. Yeah, next week is the second half of this. Any announcements for the weekend? Surf